Hey, everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan. We have new regulatory changes coming in Japan for the exchanges. Now, the Financial Service Agency, or the FSA, as it's called, they are the regulatory body and watchdog of the exchanges. They fall underneath the Ministry of Finance. And so even though you hear that the exchanges have a self-regulatory body association, still the FSA has the final word. And they, of course, have given an outline for the 19 licensed exchanges here to storing in cold wallets versus the hot wallets, which everybody is complying. You have to comply. You have no choice not to comply if you want to operate. But they are going to take it one step further, and that is require a rotation of internal staff. Now, this is not so surprising to me because it happens in two other sectors in Japan. One, of course, is banking. So if you work in a branch for MUFG and you get hired and you start working in Tokyo, in 2 years, you're going to be transferred. Now, sometimes you're transferred to another local bank in Tokyo, or sometimes you end up going to a whole new city. And it is kind of rough because when you become established in your career and you have a family, sometimes you can get moved to a place that is just not commutable. It might be a 4-hour flight away. So families do break up for those period of time so that the transfer can take place, and they hope they can come back to the family. Now, they don't break up, but they break up households. So the marriages hopefully, for the most part, stay together, but the husband very often goes to the city that he's assigned to and leaves the family behind because the kids are in school. And I think the Japanese just see it easier that way. The other sector that does it is the police. Every neighborhood in Japan has a local police box. It's called a koban. And it sometimes is on a busy corner or the main intersection. It's kind of where the hub of activity is in the neighborhood. The police only work in that box, we say, their small office, for a couple of years, and then they get rotated out. So you think, why did they, move the police? If it's community policing, they should get to know the community and recognize a face that doesn't belong and build those bonds. Well, there is some value to that. But also, too, if you get too close to your community, maybe you don't want to hand a ticket out because, you've known this woman since she was just in elementary school, and now here she is, a young adult working, and you just can't find yourself the ability to give her a ticket. So that's why they will rotate those police out every 2 years as well. And I think it's a very good idea to do this. And should Japan continue to improve, I think it's going to be one of the safest places to exchange in the world, and it will undoubtedly then become a role model for the rest of the ecospace, which I think is a really good thing. I think if you're in this space, and what I mean by that is if you're following XRP and Ripple, you probably saw this video already. It's a 13-minute video where Ginger Baker has a conversation with Asheesh Birla. And it's kind of funny because I was just saying a couple of days ago that, wow, we haven't heard from Asheesh for the longest time. Well, he gave us some really interesting information in this. And by the way, if you have a question for Ripple or Asheesh, Ginger gives an email address at the end of this video where you can submit your question and they will try to answer that in a future video. It's events@ripple.com. And the takeaway from this 13 minutes is that XRP, XRapid, is on an aggressive expansion plan. And so I think we're going to see 50 plus countries soon. And that's about 10 countries plus, give or take, more than we are officially known to be in now. And everybody, I think, wonders, where are those new live corridors? Well, I want to show you a PowerPoint from Standard Chartered. It was from an Asean bankers conference just this last summer. And you can see here they have a very strong footprint in the ASEAN South Asian region. And the reason why I'm focusing on this and probably guessing that a lot of the growth is going to come from here is because that's what they have been telling us. For the last couple of months now, they have said that 50%, and probably a little more now, of the growth for Ripple is coming from the ASEAN region. And I do think the doubling of staff in Singapore gives this indication too that they are really ramping up. And then I have something else in this video to show you why I think India is going to be in the mix. It was about a year ago, there was a very, very interesting cross-border payment pilot test. And the Mitsubishi Corporation, MUFG, they are the largest bank in Japan. And depending on what list you see, sometimes they say that they're the fifth largest bank in the world, and some lists say that they are the eighth largest bank in the world. They are for sure in the top 10. They're a very big powerhouse in terms of banking. So they have a Thailand-based subsidiary bank called the Bank of Ayuja. And they have that joint partnership with the Standard Chartered Bank. And so they jointly announced this very interesting pilot. I think you may have missed the details on this pilot. It is not just a bank-to-bank pilot. It was actually the first ever in Japan for a Japanese company to conduct a cross-border payments over rippleNet. And you can see here, if I am going to be able, can I show you that actual who transferred what where? Well, it was a Mitsubishi Corporation company. And wow, I guess I don't have that actual detail on this Standard Chartered announcement. I think I saw it somewhere else. But the fact that it went outside the financial, think about that. It went outside the financial corridors, and it was actually incorporating a company. This is an interesting expansion. And we learned just a couple of days ago that the Asset AAA Treasury Trade Supply Chain and Risk Management Awards 2019 gave an award to the Mitsubishi Corporation and that provider, the Bank Ayuja and Standard Chartered, the best payments solution. So it was a real-time treasury flows and payments using rippleNet. It's very, very, very good job, everybody. And here, if I go back to that ASEAN Bankers Conference, it's a very big PowerPoint presentation, 136 pages. You can see here how strongly they are supporting the rippleNet payments value proposition. And they outline that it has visibility, rippleNet has transparency, certainty, 100% pre-validated and hence guaranteed, real-time and efficient, less intraday liquidity intensive than the CLS, which is the Continuous Linked Settlement System, or RTGS, the real-time gross settlement. And look at this. This is interesting. Full visibility on payments with rich information achievable with Swift GPI. Now, don't be surprised because Standard Chartered, as they say here, they have a very flexible vision, multi-geography settlements. They give the client the option to choose and to have the very best solution for them. Do you remember I showed you the PowerPoint presentation that Jess Chang, who is on the legal council of the IMF, and she showed how distributed ledger technology, works with that third party neutral entity where the bank has the choice. So I think this is how it's going to roll out in the future. So you have your financial institutional client, you have Swift here, or you can use the API Connect or do a straight to bank, host to host transfer, or straight to bank using the web. Then here is that third party entity, and you can get your validation done. The routing is done. You can do the foreign exchange. You can also comply with all of your screening, and then you can choose the immediate payments, the ACH, the RTGS, that's the real-time gross settlement option, a mobile wallet, and then you have rippleNet payments, which we know for sure in the cross-border remittances works beautifully with XRP, the digital asset for liquidity. So there you have it. It's a great partner going forward for expansion. And why do I think India? Well, when you go to India's #1 job site, this is really amazing because there are so many Ripple jobs that have been posted even as recent as 8 days ago. So they want software engineers, recruiting coordinators, software engineers for XVIA. That was posted 17 days ago. A senior marketing influencer, a director and developer of Spring, technical services engineer, a director of financial operations, a senior recruiter, a global head of government relations, senior product manager for Spring again. So 2 Spring jobs, and a director of global events. I mean, these are just a few. I just couldn't believe. If you query out like a little more than 30 days or less, there's there's like 40 different jobs. So there is a huge expansion on the way in India. Okay, this is kind of fun news. U.S. Bank announces hiring of Derek White as their Chief Digital Officer. He was formerly with BBVA and was a giant champion for Ripple and XRP, and he's now their very first Chief Digital Officer at U.S. Bank. I think we all need to tweet him and say, a repeat performance, please. So I will put his Twitter address in the description below. Okay, everybody, gosh, we are jumping to the fluff already. I hope I didn't take up too much of your time. What did I want to say? I did want to say that Standard Chartered, I just want to make one more last comment because I wrote it down and I thought it was worth mentioning. XRP has recently been used with Standard Chartered. Originally, back in 2016, they were just getting their feet wet with X Current. But in November, they tapped into that $15 billion trade corridor with India and Singapore. And so that's also, I wanted to point out why I brought Standard Chartered up as one of the most important partners to get that expansion growth on steroids, because they are very familiar with what with Ripple and what XRP can do. Okay, everybody, here is the fluff. And no, this is not politics. What this is Donald Trump is coming to Japan. And what I found really interesting is that I'm not sure who is responsible for inviting him to do this, whether it's the Prime Minister Abe-san or if it's maybe somebody in the Kokai Association, which is the sumo association. I don't know, but they are talking about, and the security is kind of weighing all the pros and cons. They have asked him to present the trophy at the Tokyo Sumo tournament. next month. And I think, oh my gosh, you are kidding me. This is really fun. As everybody knows, I'm a huge sumo fan. So I just wanted to show you that should he get that opportunity, this is where he'll be. This is the actual stadium, or it's not really a stadium. It's the place where the basho or tournament takes place in Tokyo. It actually, the sumo tournaments rotate. Sometimes in Osaka, sometimes in Kyushu, sometimes in Nagoya. So it comes back to Tokyo in May, and it's always been a full house as of late. It's so popular. It's very difficult to get tickets. Actually, these banners here roll down and show the full house when it is full. And I think it goes for 14 days. And for the last few years, all 14 days sell out. And that wasn't always the case. You know, sumo had a little bit of a, I don't know, maybe it's now really, really, really popular. But when I first came to Japan, people used to kind of turn their nose up at sumo and go, "Oh, not sumo." Maybe because sometimes the generation that grew up with it, or their parents and their grandparents watched it so carefully, maybe they felt like, "Oh, I'm a new and different generation, and that's not my thing." But now, boy, I'll tell you, it is back in fashion. It is harder than ever to get a good ticket. You can sometimes go the day of the tournament, show up and get some of those see these seats way on the top here. It's not expensive, but you can't see anything. You do have a radio that you can buy, and that has an English channel and a Japanese channel, so you can listen to the sumo event with simultaneous broadcasting. Gosh, my English just goes out the window sometimes when I come up with words that I haven't said for a while. So the simultaneous broadcasting is very convenient, especially if you're in those seats way up in the, what they call the nosebleed bleachers. But it only costs like a $20 US about, whereas if you get down here into these little box seats, which is called a masu, which is what the point of the article with Trump is because they don't want to put him in the box seats because of security. And I'm not sure, but for whatever reason, the security needs to make some adjustments if he sits in a box seat. So they think they might put him in these masu, which are the square boxes that have 4 cushions, and you sit on the floor. I don't know if Mr. Trump can sit on the floor for some hours. Yeah, maybe he can. It's not that easy. After about a couple of hours on the floor, you're ready for a chair. And unless you grow up in this country and have been sitting on the floor since you were crawling. But this is the dohyo, and it's a raised ring. Let me show you that picture here. This is just part of the opening ceremony where the higher rank wrestlers come in and they just do a little bit of a circular ceremonial gesture after they have all been introduced, and they tell you like who it is and where he's from and his rank, and it's kind of an introduction in the beginning. But you can see how the dohyo, or the ring, is raised, and it's made of kind of a wet mixture of sand and clay and dirt, and it's not very big. So you get these guys in the ring going full on energy, and it's very easy to either get thrown out or even just step out. If you even just braze your toe on the other side of this rope here that is packed into the mud, you're out. So this is part of the awards ceremony. So this is Hakuho. Hakuho is actually a wonderful sumo wrestler. He's the champion, called Yokozuna, and he is one of a couple of champions, but he is the leading champion. He has the best record and is definitely the top ranked wrestler of all right now. And when they go through the award ceremony, they have awards, they have the Emperor's Cup, they have the cups that also come from just some different countries, and there's always a special guest visitor. So I think they're going to try to put President Trump into that role of special visitor. And so I want to just show you, this is the size of a masu seating, and the zabuton, which is a cushion. And if you can imagine 4 grown adults sitting in one of these, is it's tight space. It's tight space, but people have a really good time eating and drinking. That is what you do at sumo. You enjoy food, you enjoy tea or whatever it is you want to drink, and watch the sport. If for the real hardcore fans, they show up like at 11 o'clock in the morning to see the low-ranked wrestlers. But for the most part, the about 3 o'clock is when it starts to get interesting for people who like to see the higher ranked wrestlers. And definitely from 4 o'clock to 6 p.m. is the height of the event. So we'll see if President Trump has a chance to hand out that trophy. I'm following this story because I just love this sport. Okay, everybody, do take care. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.